Before the video starts, I wanted to let you guys know that I just started my very own Patreon page. For subscribing to my Patreon, you can expect perks such as entry to my private Discord where you guys can recommend me video ideas and collaborate together, 1-day early access to my uploads, and exclusive behind the scenes content on videos such as the one that you're watching right now. Please consider supporting me. My goal by the end of this year is to save up enough money to move out on my own so I can produce even more content than I am right now. Be sure to check out the link to my Patreon page in the description below. With that said, let's get on with the video. Welcome to my corrections video for the disturbing internet content Iceberg that I uploaded around a month ago. I'm making this video because I saw that there were a lot of people complaining at how I handled my explanations of several of the items on the original Iceberg. In the video that you're watching right now, I'm going to be giving some much needed corrections and new information about some of the old items from part 1 and part 2. This video was originally going to be a part 3, which was going to include new additions to the Iceberg, but after writing this script, I felt that it was necessary to make this correction video its own separate video, and then make an official part 3 extension for the Iceberg later in the future. So just so that everyone's on the same page, this is just a corrections video that's going to go over old items from part 1 and 2. I'm currently working on 2 new parts to the original Iceberg, which is going to be named Disturbing Internet Content Iceberg Part 3 and Part 4. I will explain more on how that's going to work when those videos come out, but if there is anything that you guys want me to go over in this format, I am planning on extending the series. As usual, this video will not contain any jump scares or sudden shifts in the audio. There will, however, be disturbing content, of course. With all that said, grab some food, pour on some more blankets, and get comfortable, because this one is going to be a long one. So let's start off with all of the corrections, starting from most complained about to least complained about. Lasagna Cat. What a lot of people wanted me to talk about initially was the entire meaning behind Lasagna Cat, because I do admit I was a bit harsh in my explanation, so let's try and fix that. In order to accomplish this, I went ahead and listened to the full podcast that the Nerdy Show did with the creators of Lasagna Cat. Because there's so much that went into Lasagna Cat that I didn't know about, I'm going to attempt to give a very short yet very comprehensive history on how Lasagna Cat came to be and the entire meaning behind it. So the team behind Lasagna Cat, as everyone should know, is Fatal Farms. Contrary to what many might believe, Lasagna Cat was not Fatal Farms' first big project. Fatal Farms had 2 big projects prior to Lasagna Cat that gave them their notoriety, which led to Lasagna Cat being made. They first made a series in which they made alternate intros for various TV shows and movies. Their second project was called Infinite Solutions, which is what really put them on the map. On their second channel, Infinite Solutions, they made a tutorial video on how to gain early access to a beta version of what they called Google TV. This so-called Google TV was basically your average Netflix or Hulu-like service in which you'd be able to stream any TV show or movie right to your computer screen. Doesn't sound too crazy by today's standards, but keep in mind, at the time, Google TV was not a real thing, and neither was any sort of streaming service. This was during January 2007, and in fact, Netflix had just announced that month for the first time that they were going to be coming out with this sort of streaming service. So no service like Netflix had yet to hit the scene. So for someone to make a video claiming that Google already made one and then show proof of it was a crazy concept back then. In fact, it was so believable at the time, the creators said that friends of theirs that worked at these big tech companies like Microsoft said that those companies had to have meetings on how to compete with Google TV. Everyone and their mom thought this was an actual real thing. After this incident blew up and people realized that Infinite Solutions video was fake and that Fatal Farms was behind the entire thing, Fatal Farms was then put on the map. This allowed them to get more work opportunities. They found success filming commercials and directing some movies. The initial idea for Lasagna Cat was born when they found, in their words, a killer Garfield costume. They found this costume while browsing in a store in Compton, California. Lasagna Cat in its earliest form was thought of as what they called Every Day as Garfield, which was supposed to be a series in which every day you could watch a reenactment of the Garfield comic strip from the same day. The way they wanted to accomplish this was by waking up early, get the newspaper, then reading the Garfield comic strip for that day, then shooting an entire video based on the strip and have a video of it up by lunchtime, which would be around 12 p.m. However, because of the way the comic strip was made, Garfield and John could be seen at the beach or the vet or just any random location, so they found it was too hard to produce this type of content. So they quickly changed the series to be called 100 Days of Garfield. And from what they said, they shot over 80 of these Garfield strips. When shooting, they realized that the Garfield strips themselves weren't really all that funny on their own. They decided to just upload a few of them to the internet anyways. Before they uploaded, they decided to rehash some of their already shot Garfield scenes by putting tribute music in the background, which is what we see in some of their Garfield videos today. This was done as a satire on how people would randomly create these AMV videos where the person would put tribute music behind a montage of their favorite anime or favorite TV show. Another reason they put out the initial release of Lasagna Cat sketches was a subtle satire on how not funny the original Garfield comic strip was. Basically, the reason people find some, if not most, of these Lasagna Cat sketches funny is because of the fact that they actually exist and because of how unfunny it is to bring these comic strips to life. Now obviously there's this huge gap between their last upload and their most recent upload. The reason for this is simple. Zach Johnson and Jeffrey Max, who are the creators of Lasagna Cat, simply felt that their videos at the time were not good enough yet, and they were also just busy with other work. Eventually, we'd see the trailer for the 1-800 number, which then was also met with the release of more high-quality Lasagna Cat type videos. The amount of work I found that went into the sex survey video was astonishing. They shot this entire thing live. The reason for this was because the Fatal Farm team wanted the clock to match how long it would take to actually do this. What freaking commitment. Like, I can't even fathom the fact that that's an actual thing, but enough with history. What does all of this mean? Why the baby at the end? Why Garfield? And why any of this? Well, to put it blunt, Fatal Farms is merely criticizing how unfunny Garfield is as a comic strip. This next part comes directly from NightMind's video, but I felt it was too good for me not to mention. Imagine you and a friend are arguing over if a Garfield strip is funny or not. You think it's trash, but they think it's the funniest thing ever. Your friend turns to you and says, well, that's because it's on paper. You wouldn't be saying this if it were acted out in person. That acted out portion is what Lasagna Cat does. They actually perform the comic strip to show you, the viewer, how terribly written this comic strip really is. Now, how does this idea tie into the sex survey video? Well, the whole video is one giant knock knock joke, which is obvious if you watch it. I understood this when I watched it the first time, I just didn't feel the need to mention it in my video. In the sex survey video, you hear a knock at the door, a Garfield character says, "Who's there?" Then you hear a person's name.
Hey, my name's Garrett Smith.
Then the Garfield character says,
Garrett Smith, who?
And then we get the punchline, which is the person saying their name and how many sexual partners they've had.
Hey, my name's Garrett Smith, and I have had exactly 0 sex partners.
Then all of this ends with the knock knock joke being in a comic strip. Now, what else do we know that repeats itself, is unfunny, and finds itself in a comic strip? Garfield. That's the basic premise as to why the sex survey results video is filmed the way it was. Also, fun fact before we move on, they have well over 1,000 people that called into this number. So what you see in the video is actually 1,000 people's voicemails, but they actually got far more voicemails than just 1,000. So they had to pick and choose which voicemails to put in and which ones not to. Another thing that you guys pick and choose what goes into is your wallet, which brings me to the sponsor of today's video, not Ridge Wallet. I actually have a better wallet for you guys, which is made by the company Volkit. I see everyone boasting about these other wallet companies, having tried them all myself. Volkit is the only one that checks off everything that goes into a great wallet. Easy access to your cards? Check. Extra storage for those gift cards you think you'll use one day? Check. Even more storage for those gift cards that you think you'll use one day? Check. And an extra spot on the back of the wallet to carry cash? Well, Volkit has you covered. In all honesty though, I was the one that reached out to Volkit around a month ago. I had been looking for a good wallet for around a few months and thankfully found Volkit. If you don't like how this one looks, they have more minimalistic wallets without pockets, with colors ranging from rose gold to even carbon fiber. And the best part is that none of these wallets cost more than $40, which is a complete steal. On top of all that, Volkit's going to give you guys a discount if you use code YET2021, which will get you 15% off your entire order. Full transparency, I'm being paid commission style, so if you guys want to support me and are in need of a new wallet, feel free to check out the link in the description, and don't forget to use code YET2021 for your exclusive discount. Now, once all the calls are over in the video, we have the infamous ending to the entire thing. So what is this section about? It's a commentary on how Jim Davis' work on Garfield is an unending cycle. Jim Davis being the creator of Garfield, we see Garfield morph and change from a normal cat into this horrified stuffed version of a mess. This represents the parodies and other variations that the world has seen of Garfield, such as the infamous Garfield minus Garfield strips, in which they take Garfield out of the comic to see what it would look like. As the scene goes on, John Arbuckle grows older while the Garfield character is taken way out of context, morphing it into its own thing, showing how over the years Jim Davis isn't really writing the strip anymore, but the characters themselves are basically writing the comics. They even play audio from Jim Davis where he outright states that he thinks Garfield just writes itself. The ending is supposed to be symbolic, with the birthing of this kid representing Jim Davis being born and the never-ending cycle that is Garfield. There's a bit more nuance than just what I've said here, and I feel like I can make a 30-minute video on it, and someone actually has made a video on it. If you have the time and want to know more about Lasagna Cat, go watch NightMind's video on it. I will leave a link below because he has a much more in-depth explanation than just what I've said here. Now before we move on completely, Lasagna Cat is not an ARG, and the creators have stated multiple times that this is not in fact an ARG. Fatal Farms just likes putting weird things in their videos, but everything that they do is purposeful. For example, the reason this girl speaks Polish is because they found out that the actress could speak Polish, so they simply asked her to deliver her original English script in Polish, just because they thought it would add to the overall absurdity of the video. There seems to be not a lot of actual reason behind their decisions other than to add to the already absurd nature of their videos. But nonetheless, everything that Lasagna Cat does is completely deliberate. With that said, let's go on to the next item. TreatsForBeasts. So TreatsForBeasts seems like nothing more than a passion art project. The thing about this channel is that if you don't have an open mind when going into it, you're going to be quickly repulsed by the nature of these videos. Which I admit, I was a bit at first. But you have to keep in mind, I had been researching weird shit for hours before I got to this guy's channel, and if making this video has taught me anything, it's that I should definitely go back and make sure my explanation is in order before making anything set in stone. One of the videos that I have grown very fond of is the music video that he put out 6 years ago titled Beasts, which is a clear satire and criticism of how terrible humans treat planet Earth, treating the Earth much like that of a sick virus. The video starts off with this very catchy beat. Then it shows this green creature singing to us. The first line that the creature says is,
"I am the beast that cuts the meat. Now that they're dead, you can sink in your teeth."
Which is an obvious critique of how people are quick to kill animals and savagely eat them without any remorse. The entire video is styled like this, with critiques on how humans center their lives around animalistic behaviors, such as when he talks about how farmers grow bread to eat with their disgusting meat.
"I am the beast that grows the wheat. I make bread to eat it with meat."
Then going as far as critiquing our world leaders, explaining how this same beast that eats the meat is also the one writing the law.
"I am the beast that handles deeds." Yeah.
There are many other videos like this on the channel, some deeper than others, most notably the video titled after his channel, TreatsForBeasts, which in my opinion seems like a self-commentary on his own channel. The meaning behind this video, in my opinion, seems to be about how people constantly pester him about what his channel represents, with you, the viewer, being represented as this sex toy, constantly pleasuring the creator of this channel with good feedback about how amazing his content is, no matter what the content is that he puts out, then asking him over and over again about the meaning, in return offering us explanations with a nihilistic attitude, which I think is a self-commentary on the channel. TreatsForBeasts is trying to say that he could offer us an explanation, but it's not worth the effort, because no matter what he says the channel is about, it will be met with joyous self-pleasure, which is represented by the sex toy. The channel to me seems like a passion project that allows the creator to fully express his feelings towards humanity and certain aspects of religion. I wanted to say thanks to everyone that commented. I do think since posting a lot of my videos, my mind has been able to open up to analyzing these types of channels. And for that, I wanted to thank each and every one of you that took the time to comment and do it in a respectful way that led to me making this video. With that said, let's move on. Poppy. Okay, so a lot of Poppy supporters left comments explaining how I missed a huge opportunity to talk about her tragic upbringing to fame, specifically the drama that happened between her and her former manager slash boyfriend, Titanic Sinclair. Poppy had to endure a very abusive and manipulative relationship with her former manager, which is what led to the creation of these bizarre videos that we now see on her channel today. To explain all of this, let's start at the beginning with Titanic Sinclair. Titanic first latched himself onto another female singing sensation known as Mars Argo. The two began dating when they met through MySpace. They began making a web series called The Computer Show, which was a satire that critiqued social media and internet culture. Mars Argo and Titanic Sinclair would then form a band. As the band became more successful, they would continue to create music and post episodes of The Computer Show all the way until 2014. The two then had a falling out when they broke up. As a result, the entire Computer Show YouTube channel was completely wiped, leaving nothing but re-uploads of the videos to remain on the website today. Mars Argo seemingly fell off the face of the earth, and in the meantime, Titanic Sinclair found himself a new project, Poppy. When Poppy was up and coming as a singer, she posted her own videos online as a way to gain a following. The bigger she got, the more Sinclair took notice of her. When Poppy signed a deal with Island Records, her demo album began to circle around everyone in the music industry. One of the people that it got to was Titanic Sinclair. Eventually, Titanic would reach out to her and the two would begin to collaborate. They began dating and he worked with her a lot, directing some of her music videos, including her debut video Bubble Bath. Sinclair would begin Poppy's career by reforming her image, making Poppy into more than just a name. He made it into a persona, taking her from this normal person that could hold and contribute to a conversation to this robotic satirical take of a pop star. To accomplish this, damage control was needed. So, Titanic set out to remove any possible footage of Poppy's old persona from the internet. After having done so, Poppy's persona was complete. Things were all fine and dandy until someone came out of the woodworks to ruin Sinclair's life, Mars Argo. She pursued Sinclair with a lawsuit, stating that Poppy was an exact replica of her persona, even going as far as making Poppy speak in a higher pitched tone to match that of Mars Argo. This lawsuit was actually won, and Poppy and Sinclair were told to never make mention of Mars Argo again. There was a lot more that went on, but eventually it would come out to the public how much of an asshole Titanic Sinclair was. Footage of him acting very crazy and abusive towards Mars Argo would surface to the top of the internet. Then word got around of his abuse and manipulation with the pop star known as Poppy. This becomes way more apparent if you look at the interviews that the two were in. Titanic Sinclair was always the voice speaking for Poppy, as she almost never spoke for herself. Even in this interview that is sped up, you can see Titanic is basically the only one speaking throughout the entire thing. People also began realizing that Mars Argo disappeared in the first place because she was afraid of Sinclair. All of this culminated in such a way that Poppy finally felt that enough was enough. She released a public statement explaining that she would part ways with Titanic Sinclair, outlining how he manipulated her in various ways, even going as far as to threaten killing himself in order to get his way. Since the separation of the two, she seems to be doing a lot better, even releasing an album about her whole experience. Leave a comment below on your thoughts on the whole Poppy situation. Let's go on to the next item. Daisy leaves. So a lot of people wanted me to talk about the theory that Inside a Mind came up with. The theory is that the person who created this Robert Helpman channel posted these videos as a representation of the 12 days of Christmas. Originally, there were 12 videos on this channel. Obviously, some of them have been taken down for whatever reason. This can be seen now as only 10 videos remain, but nonetheless, there used to be 12 videos. This idea becomes more apparent when you acknowledge the fact that the distorted sound that you can hear in each video is actually a reversed version of an old Santa Claus record that people used to buy in the 1920s. This, coupled with the fact that there are 12 videos, leads people to believe that the creator believes Christmas is this decrepit body that you invite into your house for 12 days each year. And while it's there, we appreciate it, abuse it, and worship it until it's time for it to go. Some people go very overboard and blow their entire life savings on gifts, using the excuse that it's Christmas. Others try to use Christmas to get out of paying for stuff, saying, it's Christmas time, come on, why don't you give me a break? Also, as humans, we are generally more prone to gluttony during this time. So basically, the Daisy video series is supposed to represent all that's bad about Christmas. All of that stuff I said before about people getting away with paying for stuff, blowing their life savings, all of that stuff is generally seen as the bad part of Christmas. And Robert Helpman's channel is a commentary on how we invite Christmas in for 12 days a year and just basically abuse it beyond belief. Whether it's true or not is not confirmed, but I'd like to believe so. That's it for this correction. Let's go on to the next one. Local 58. Local 58 was the one that I missed explaining the entire story on. So on all of the Local 58 videos, it's clear that there is some outside entity that is causing these events to play out. The most popular theory out there on the internet is that it's an alien invasion on Earth. Evidence to support this is the fact that we get a glimpse of one of these aliens in the video "You Are on the Fastest Available Route." People also believe that the aliens are the ones displaying the messages in contingency and overall are just trying to rid the Earth of people. But the more plausible theory is that the moon is somehow turning people into these creatures and causing people to go mad. This is the most supported theory, as in one of the videos it even directly states, "Don't look at the moon." And in other videos such as Show for Children, we see the moon coming into frame very slowly. Also, in their last video, it straight up has the moon as its main focus at some points. So clearly the moon has some importance in the story. The creator of Local 58, named Chris Stauber, has even come out debunking the alien theory. In his own words, he said, "The only alien I'm interested in portraying is the concept of something utterly foreign and unmappable to human consciousness." Basically, it's not going to be your typical green guy aliens. I love this idea and all that it stands for. Maybe that's why the moon is the main focus, because I'm sure lots of people have questions like, how can the moon be doing this? Is the moon alive? And just questions regarding what the moon is actually doing. The answer is we don't know, and that's the point. This entity that's causing all of this destruction and manipulation is something that we as people are not supposed to be able to articulate. Leave a comment below on your own personal theory regarding Local 58. Not much else needs to be said. Moving on. Hanging Munchkin. Okay, so for this one, I was actually just big trolling you guys. I knew fully well when I put this in the video that it was not a real and confirmed thing and that the footage was actually edited. I just really wanted people to buy into this because I thought it was super creepy at first, and I just wanted everyone to get a tiny bit creeped out at this part. But to come clean, this hanging munchkin isn't actually in the real movie. If you go pull out a copy of your Wizard of Oz on VHS, you will see a big bird standing right here in the middle of the forest. The original clip came from a YouTube channel called Suicidal Munchkin, which already shows you how fake this clearly is. This person obviously made this channel with the sole purpose of spreading this fake footage. So yeah, there it is folks, it's debunked. If you don't believe me, I'll leave a link below to ScareTheater's video, which goes into it a little more in depth. That's the video I watched all those months ago when I found out about the hanging munchkin. As I said before, I already knew that it was fake, but comment below if you share the same sentiment with me though. I thought it would have been super cool if something like this actually occurred on set. Despite how creepy and sad it would be, I just really love dark lore like that. Moving on. Alright, so I just wanted to jump in really quick and say that before we go on to the next one, I wanted to explain that these next few items are going to be very short corrections, just very like one-off theories or other explanations that I wanted to add in the original video, but I just failed to do so. So keep that in mind when listening to these next corrections. Alright, let's go on to the next one. Parody Animations. So this one's not really going to be a correction so much as it is a telling of what's going to be in part 3. This is just one example. So a lot of people really wanted me to cover Meat Canyon. Meat Canyon is one of those parody animation channels that is pretty disturbing, but I don't want to go over it right now. I'm actually going to add that into part 3 whenever that comes out. So you guys can go ahead and look forward to that whenever part 3 comes out. It's probably going to be in around a week or two whenever I get it done, but I have not forgot about that. Just before we move on, if you guys have anything that you want me to add, any creepy commercials, any creepy things you saw as a kid, any videos or disturbing content that you guys saw growing up until now, go ahead and comment it below, as long as it's not been in the previous iterations of this series. With that said, let's move on. I feel fantastic. Okay, so this one's going to be a quick addition. I wrote this part in my script originally, but I failed to mention one of the coolest theories behind this. Some people believe that whoever made this robot named Terra kidnapped someone and put them in a basement or layer underground. And whenever this kidnapped person moves or speaks, the robot moves and speaks for them, saying, "I feel fantastic." Not really a crazy theory, but I like this theory more than the murder theory that I said in the original video. This one feels a lot more creepy and personal. Just a quick addition, let's go on to the next correction. Blank room soup. So one theory that I did not touch upon in the blank room soup part of my video was the theory on why this guy is crying and what he's eating. A lot of people have speculated that what he is eating is actually the remains of his dead wife, with his wife being ground up into a stew or soup of some sort. This is why the man is crying as he eats the soup. He knows he's eating the last remains of his beloved wife. I wish I had mentioned this in the first video, but I guess it just slipped my mind. I knew about this theory before posting, but when writing I didn't put it in the script for some reason. Another thing that people kept saying in the comments was that the creator Raymond S. Percy was almost fired from his place of work over these videos. However, I have yet to see an actual source confirming this, as this source would basically blow wide open that the blank room soup videos are in fact fake. But anyways, let's move on. Jack Stauber. I put this one on here because I wanted to say that I've listened to all the fans that dropped comments, and I'm happy to announce that for once on the internet, you've all changed my mind. I can see the appeal behind his projects and why they are shot and produced in this obscure manner. I feel like Jack Stauber does put some very meaningful pieces of work out, like his song named I Understand, which is basically about being an understanding person, obviously as stated in the title. But aside from these deep meanings, I think Jack Stauber just has a very distinct sound that not a lot of other creators are able to reproduce, and it's what makes his work so different and enjoyable to listen to. Sorry to any fans that I may have upset over my initial cynical explanation. With that said, let's move on. ScareTheater. One very small thing that I wish I was able to mention in my original video was the fact that a lot of people are saying that he's not uploading due to his current living situation, explaining how he began moving since his last upload and has yet to be in a situation where he can produce and upload a video. That's the situation as I know it. However, all of that information was just from comments that I got on my part 1. I personally have not seen anything on his Twitter or YouTube to suggest that this is in fact true, but I'm just gonna trust his fans on this one. Moving on. ImagineDom. Another small correction. So a lot of people have commented either claiming that they are personally connected with ImagineDom or that they know why he is gone. The reason that I heard a lot of people mention was that ImagineDom was battling some type of issue. Some say it was cancer, others say it was some other sort of mental illness. I don't know how much truth there is to this type of claim, but mostly everyone that commented this agreed on one thing. After coming back from whatever he was dealing with, he deleted all of his old videos because of his new outlook on life, with his old videos reminding him of his depression and old mindset that he just doesn't have anymore. Again, I don't know how much truth there is to this. It is very clear that he went back and deleted his old videos. If anyone has a credible source from ImagineDom, feel free to share it in the comments, as I'd love to know why the channel is the way it is right now. With that said, let's go on to the last correction. Little Baby's Ice Cream. This one's literally one sentence. So apparently the actor in this video is not an actor, it's actually a woman, so it's an actress, which is what I got wrong in the original Iceberg video. Sorry I got that wrong, it's just a very small thing, but yeah, apparently this is actually a woman. Well, that brings us to the end of today's video. Now that we're at the end, I'm going to give you guys a little explanation on basically how the next few parts in the series are going to work. I'm going to explain this in the next videos anyways, so you can skip this if you really want to, but I thought I'd give you guys a little thorough explanation on how I'm going to be doing the next parts of this series, because I feel like it's very important for me to outline what I'm going to be doing. So I'm going to be making at least 2 more parts to the Disturbing Internet Content Iceberg. These parts will be named the Disturbing Internet Content Iceberg Part 3 and Part 4. These new parts are not going to be a continuation of the last layer on Part 2. meaning that part 3 isn't going to contain layer 8 and below. The reason for this is I want to add a bunch of new items, and it's really hard to find obscure, unknown layer 8 type stuff. So part 3 and part 4 is going to be an entirely new list of items that I've personally come up with from my various years of being on the internet, seeing this type of disturbing content. The way these videos will be structured is going to be from most known disturbing content to least known, with the first item on part 3 being the most known item and the last item in part 4 being least known. Now, once I am done with all of the parts that I want to do, whether I decide to end it after part 4 or another part after part 4 in the future, maybe I do part 5 or part 6, once all of those disturbing iceberg parts are done, my plan is to compile every single part into one long feature film. It's not going to be like how these other creators are doing it. I'm not going to just simply upload a 2-hour video of part 1 playing, then part 2 playing, then part 3 and part 4. What I'm going to do to make it very easy to understand is make the entire thing one long iceberg video with the new items appearing in part 3 and so on being placed in the original layers that I think they belong in. For example, let's say one of the items in part 3 belongs in layer 2. When the big, long, 2-hour featured film disturbing internet content iceberg video comes out, when you get to layer 2 in that video, that item from part 3 is just going to be in layer 2. There's not going to be part 1 playing and then part 2 playing and then you see part 3 and part 4 with the new additions. Everything from after part 3 is just going to be put into the iceberg as one big iceberg. I feel like I'm making this sound more complicated than it actually is, but basically I just plan on making one big long iceberg video going from layer 1 to layer 7 with every item that I say in every single part being placed where I think they belong. It's going to come out whenever I feel like the series should come to an end. That's basically all I wanted to say on how this series is going to be done. If you guys want a behind the scenes on how I made this video, or you want 1 day early access to the disturbing iceberg videos as they come out, consider supporting me on Patreon. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss another upload. With that said, I will see you all in the next video. Thanks for watching.